Hello everyone and welcome. Hello. Welcome to the Puget Sound Estuarium's live feeding. Sorry for the noise. That is actually the chiller that is keeping our tanks cold. So if you hear that noise in the background, that's the chiller trying to keep our tanks to that temperature that's out in the Puget Sound. And so I hope you can hear me over it. I'll try and talk louder. So welcome to the Puget Sound Estuarium's live feeding of our Thunderdome. So inside our Thunderdome, we have these anemones over here. We have a copper rockfish. We've got some more anemones down there. And up in the top corner, we've got a pink sea star. Today we'll be feeding the sea star and the anemones. The rockfish is a bit shy, so it doesn't like to take food from us quite yet. So welcome. I again apologize for the noise in the background. That's just trying to keep our tanks cold as the water is out in Puget Sound, which any of you have ever dipped your toe into, it's pretty chilly out there. So they're working hard to keep our animals happy. And today we'll be feeding the sea anemones and the sea star. We've got some shrimp cut up for them. You may think that anemones are plants and that they eat plankton, but these anemones are actually fish eating. So they will eat fish, they will eat shrimp, whatever they can get their little tentacles on. So I'll get started. Feeding some shrimp. They will take those pieces of shrimp and bring them down to the center of their oral mouth. In that very center of all those tentacles, that's where their mouth is. And that is the only hole in, so it's the only hole out. So whatever food they don't eat, they spit back up. They don't seem too hungry today. Usually they will bring that food right down to the center. But these ones seem very heavily fed, so they're not too interested. Let's try the one up in the corner. This is our painted anemone. You can see that pretty red and green coloration on the side. Looks like someone painted it. So while these anemones are pretty like plants, they're actually animals. So they need to get their food from an outside source. They don't photosynthesize. But what's special about these green anemones is that they have an algae or a type of seaweed sort of that lives inside of them, so they can actually photosynthesize as well as get their protein from these pieces of shrimp that we're feeding them. You can see they're bringing that piece of shrimp down to the very center of their mouth. If you ever felt a sea anemone and it feels sticky, it's trying to sting you, to paralyze you, to eat you, but thankfully our skin is too thick, so it just feels sticky to us. But if you are a fish or a shrimp and you went by one of these anemones, they can paralyze you if you're a fish or a shrimp and eat you. But if you've ever watched Finding Nemo and you see that Nemo lives inside of an anemone, that's because they have a special coating on their sides that helps protect them from the anemones. There's another little anemone that's hiding underneath the green ones. It's called the aggregating anemone, and it can split itself into two. Oh. Tried to grab my claw there. So the small little anemone next to the big green ones that has the little pink tips on it, that's the aggregating anemone. It can split into two to reproduce rather than budding other ones off of it or releasing gametes into the water. So those sea anemones. We've got the green surf anemones. The aggregating one is down there. And then up here is the painted anemone. As you can see, it's got that pretty green and red on the sides. So now we're gonna pan over. So these anemones. So this one down here, it's buried in the sand and it's called a sand rose anemone because it likes to be in the sand and it's pretty like a rose. The one behind the log is another one of the painted anemones, but sadly the painteds don't all come in that pretty red and green coloration. Some are just kind of tan. And then the fish in the back there, that's a copper rockfish. So if you've ever had rockfish at a restaurant, that fish is probably one of the species that you ate, although there are a lot of different rockfish species. I apologize for the sound. If you hear that noise in the background, it's actually our chiller. It keeps our water at that cold, cold Puget Sound temperature. So that one was a hungry anemone. It brought that piece of shrimp that we're feeding it right down into the center where its mouth is. all those tentacles where its mouth is, and it only has one hole, so whatever comes in there also has to come out there. These anemones are a type of fish-eating anemone, so they've got stingers on them to help them paralyze fish or shrimp, whereas these blobs on the rock are plumose anemones, so they have more of a frilly tentacles that they use to capture plankton with. Now let's see about feeding our sea star. This is called a pink sea star or a big pink sea star, one of the largest species of sea star out in our waters. A lot of people think that sea stars are vegetarians, that they eat seaweeds, but they're actually carnivores. They love to eat mussels, clams, maybe oysters, whatever they can get their little 2 feet onto. So they've got 5 arms. This species has 5 arms, and then on each one of those arms they have a bunch of little feet called tube feet, and they use those tube feet to smell the water or taste the water for food. Get it active by having it smell some of that shrimp in the water. Start to see its arm up here moving. It smells food. So while you mostly see sea stars laying on rocks, not really moving too much, they are predators, so they do go after their prey. Once the sea star has found a mussel or a plant, or got the mussel on a rock or on a piling, if you look under our docks at the port, you can see some mussels all along the pilings, and that is great spots for sea stars to feed. They climb over those mussels on the pilings, and if they find one that's just right, they can pry open a mussel with their own arms. That's pretty hard. We need tools to open up a mussel for us to consume. It is a very cool sea star. I think this is more of a spy than a sea star, as it really likes to climb around on the surface of the water, doing sort of a Mission Impossible act. Instead of crawling around the bottom, it crawls on the top. But the sea stars, they don't really have muscles. They use water pressure to help them open up a mussel just enough, just wide enough so that they can take their first stomach out of their body into the mussel, digest the mussel, put their stomach back in their body, where they've got a second stomach that helps with digestion. So that's a gnarly way of sea stars to eat. I'm glad as humans we don't have to our stomachs out of our body to eat. We can keep them inside. And if you're watching that shrimp, I gave it to the very tip of the arm, and now it's moved it there, and I'll eventually move it to the very center of the sea star, where its mouth is. Sea stars also have the ability to see light and dark. They have a spot on each of their 5 arms at the end that can see shadows and brightness. So if you close your eyes and you look to the light, you see that your eyelids get lighter. If you look to the darkness, your eyelids get darker, and that's kind of how a sea star vision works. Let's see if I can get you a better view. That piece of shrimp in the middle, right there, is slowly moving. The other anemones are closed up and digesting their food. That one's still pretty open. It shrunk down very quickly. See all those little tiny feet on the sea star? Moving that shrimp is now over there in the center. Our cover rockfish, we are trying to decide a name for her, so if you have any suggestions, leave those in the comment section. Those green surf anemones have finished their shrimp pieces. They're the ones with that algae that lives inside of them as well, that can help photosynthesize to give these guys some sugars to eat, as well as they can catch their own shrimp or fish. And then a small anemone down here, the second, they can split into 2, and those 2 can split into 4, and then that's how they colonize the reef. And then our other spy here, our sea anemone that decided it liked to live on the glass rather than at the bottom where the other ones were. And that's the painted one. You can see that pretty green and pink on the sides. Closed up for eating its food. Here's that big pink sea star again. We're also thinking of a name for this one. A lot of suggestions have been to name it Patrick, like the beloved character from SpongeBob. Pebbles, that's a pretty good name. Got those little dots all over. So if you ever see sort of bunched up like this, it's probably because they are feeding. They're digesting a clam or a mussel or anything that they found. They're pretty opportunistic. I hope you enjoyed our live feeding of our Thunderdome here at Puget Sound Estuarium. Please subscribe to our Facebook or our YouTube. Check us out. Our gift shop is going to be online soon, so you can order some Puget Sound Estuarium swag for the holidays. I hope that you had heard about our Give Local campaign and donated. If not, we still take donations anytime on our Facebook or online at our website. I hope you have a good or continued on application for expression so that we can still help you explore the estuarium. We would love to get another rockfish in here, but that just might be too many fish in this tank. So sadly, she'll just be by herself for now. But that would be cute names, Pebbles and Bam Bam. Love the Frillin' Stones. Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate your love and support. Tune in on Facebook for more events online, of course, that we'll be having. In the following month, we'll probably do another live feeding